As I unlocked the front door and stepped inside, a strange feeling crept over me. Something was off. The air felt different, almost disturbed. I glanced around, my eyes scanning the familiar living room. At first, everything seemed normal, but as I looked closer, I noticed subtle changes. The curtains were slightly open, even though I had shut them tight before leaving. The TV remote, usually kept in its case, lay neatly on the table. My heart pounded. I had been away for a week. Someone had been here. But who? And why did everything seem rearranged? I walked into the kitchen, my unease growing. The refrigerator door was not closed properly. When I pulled it open, I saw that some food was missing. A half-eaten apple sat on the counter, next to an empty glass with water droplets still clinging to the sides. The sink had water stains, as if someone had used it recently. My mind raced with possibilities. Had my husband let someone stay here? Or was it worse? Had a stranger broken in? My fingers trembled as I reached for my phone, desperate to call Sam, my husband. But his phone went straight to voicemail. With growing panic, I hurried to my bedroom. The moment I pushed the door open, my stomach dropped. The room was in chaos. Clothes were scattered everywhere. My dresser drawers had been pulled out, their contents dumped onto the floor. My heart pounded painfully as I rushed to my desk. My hands shook as I searched for the small, worn-out wooden box where I had kept my grandfather's watch, a priceless family heirloom. My fingers found the empty space where it had once been. It was gone. My breath hitched. Someone had taken it. But who? And why? I grabbed my phone again and dialed Sam's number. This time, he picked up. "Sam, someone broke into our house. My room is a mess and my grandfather's watch is missing." I blurted out, my voice shaky. There was a long pause on the other end. Then, in an oddly hesitant voice, he said, "Karen, there's something I need to tell you. My mom, she stayed in our apartment while we were away." My mind reeled. "What? Without telling me?" I asked, my voice rising. "Why would she do that?" Sam sighed. "She said it would be convenient." Convenient? For whom? I clenched my fists. "Sam, my room was ransacked. My things were tossed around, and the watch is gone," I shouted. He hesitated. "Maybe she just borrowed it," he said weakly. My stomach twisted. Borrowed? She stole it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could he defend her? My grandfather had given me that watch, telling me to keep it safe. It wasn't just a watch. It was a memory, a legacy. And now it was gone. I felt anger and betrayal burning inside me. I had to confront her. I had to know the truth. I didn't wait for Sam to come home. Instead, I stormed out of the apartment and drove straight to my mother-in-law's house. When she opened the door, she looked surprised but not guilty. "Oh, Karen," she said with a smile. "You're back." My voice was cold. "Where is it?" Her smile faltered. "Where's what, dear?" she asked, feigning innocence. I stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "My watch, the one from my grandfather, the one that was in my room before you stayed there," I said, watching her closely. She waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, that old thing?" My chest tightened. "Yes, that old thing. It's priceless to me. Where is it?" I demanded. She sighed dramatically. "Oh, Karen, you always overreact. I just borrowed it. It looked so old and dusty. I thought I'd clean it up for you." I narrowed my eyes. "Clean it up?" I repeated, not believing a word. She avoided my gaze. "Well, I might have taken it to a pawn shop to see if it was worth anything, just out of curiosity." My heart stopped. "You sold it?" I whispered. She smiled. "Don't be so dramatic. It's just a watch, Karen." "Just a watch?" My blood boiled. "That watch is worth over $20,000, I snapped. Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second before she quickly masked her expression. "Oh, really? Well, I had no idea," she said with an airy laugh. My hands clenched. "Where is it now?" She shrugged. "I sold it already." The room spun. I felt sick. "You stole from me," I said through gritted teeth. She rolled her eyes. "Don't be so sensitive. We're family. Families share." Rage surged through me. "This is theft. You had no right." I pulled out my phone. Her expression finally changed. "Wait. Wait!" "No need to call the police," she said, her voice suddenly high-pitched. "I can get the money back." I stared at her in disbelief. "How?" "You spent it, didn't you?" She bit her lip. "Well, most of it." My stomach twisted. "You lied, stole, and now you're broke?" She crossed her arms. "Karen, be reasonable. You're making a big deal out of nothing." My finger hovered over the call button. "I am done forgiving you. You crossed a line and you will face the consequences." I pressed the call button. "Hello, police?" Sam arrived just as the police did. His face was pale. "Karen, please don't do this," he pleaded. His mother clung to him. "Your wife is turning on us, over a silly watch." Sam turned to me. "Karen, is this really necessary?" My heart ached. Even now he was protecting her. Not me, not our marriage, just her. I looked him in the eye. "Yes, it is. Because this isn't just about a watch. It's about respect, honesty, and boundaries. And your mother has crossed all of them." The officers listened as I explained everything, nodding seriously. The evidence was undeniable. The pawn shop had surveillance footage of my mother-in-law selling the watch. When confronted, she broke down. "I didn't mean to," she cried, but the damage was done. She was taken into custody. Sam stood frozen, watching as his mother was led away. He turned to me. "You didn't have to do this." I shook my head. "She did this to herself, and you let it happen." His face crumpled. "Karen, please, let's fix this." I stared at him, my anger giving way to something colder. Realization. There's nothing left to fix, Sam. I filed for divorce the next day. Sam begged me to reconsider, but I was done. His loyalty had never been with me. I had endured so much, his mother's constant interference, her insults, her disrespect. And he had always asked me to just endure it. But not anymore. I was free now. The divorce was finalized within months. My mother-in-law, sentenced for theft, was now paying the price for her actions. Sam, burdened with repaying the pawn shop, was left to deal with the consequences. And me? I was finally free to live my life on my terms. I moved into a new apartment, far from the place that held so many bad memories. The first thing I did was find a secure place for my grandfather's watch, now safely returned. Holding it in my hands, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. My grandfather had always taught me to stand up for myself, and for the first time in a long time I had. I was no longer a victim. I was strong, and I was ready for the next chapter of my life. I moved into a new apartment, far away from the suffocating memories of my past. It felt strange at first, being alone, starting fresh, but also liberating. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells, waiting for someone to undermine my choices. My grandfather's watch, now safely back in my possession, sat in a secure case in my bedroom. Every time I looked at it, I felt reassured. It wasn't just about the watch, it was about reclaiming my life. I had endured manipulation, betrayal, and loss, but I had emerged stronger. I had finally chosen myself. Adjusting to my new life wasn't easy, but I took small steps. I started focusing on things I had neglected: my hobbies, my friends, my happiness. I enrolled in a cooking class, something I had always wanted to do but never had time for. I took morning walks, breathing in the fresh air without the weight of constant worry. My job, Once a source of stress became my escape. With no one belittling me at home, I found new confidence in my work. I no longer had to seek validation. I had learned the hard way that I was enough. One day, I saw Sam at a work event. He looked exhausted, weighed down by his mother's mistakes. He approached me hesitantly. "Karen, I miss you," he admitted, his voice full of regret. I looked at him, but I felt nothing. No anger, no longing, just peace. "Sam, you didn't miss me," I said gently. "You missed the version of me who tolerated everything." He lowered his gaze. "I made a mistake." I smiled sadly. "Yes, you did. And I hope you learn from it." For the first time, I walked away without looking back. I was truly free. As I sat in my apartment that evening, sipping tea by the window, I thought about my journey. I had once been trapped in a life that demanded my silence, my endurance, my compromise. But I had fought back. I had stood up for myself, even when it was difficult. And now, I was stepping into a future built on my own terms. No more apologies. No more waiting for someone to see my worth. I was enough, just as I was. My grandfather's watch ticked softly in the background, a quiet reminder that time moves forward. And so would I.